You know what people like? Violence. Yup. You know what people like more than violence? Sex. Yep. No. Now don't give me that look like, what? Me? Heavens no. I don't like sex and violence. No, not me. That's for people without Jesus. No. Don't be ashamed of it. We all like it. Okay? Just look at shows or movies that we watch. To a certain extent, almost everything we watch has some degree of sex and violence in it. Sure, I don't know what that says about society, but hey, it's a thing, so... No, and this next anime that I'm about to review has sex and violence coming out the wazoo. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the girl that reviews stuff, and today we'll be taking a look at Rin, Daughters of Mnemosyne. So Rin, Daughters of Mnemosyne, which I'm probably mispronouncing like I do most words, is a 6-episode anime series that ran in 2008, produced by Studio Xebec. Although there are only 6 episodes, each episode runs for 45 minutes. Before I forget, let me just slap on a little viewer discretion is advised onto this review. This show is definitely for mature audiences. Moving along. The anime is about 2 immortals, Rin and Mimi, who spend their immortal days as private investigators. Because they cannot die, this allows them to take the most dangerous of cases, which brings about quite a bit of disturbing and gruesome torture scenes, and sex scenes, more often than not both. Most people may think of immortality as a good thing, and Rin uses it to her advantage to give herself an edge on really dangerous cases. But it's also a disadvantage, because when she runs into some really sadistic and twisted asshats, she can't die. She has to endure whatever torture said asswipes decide to dish out, without any guarantee of escaping. The series spans over the course of 65 years, starting from 1990 and ending in 2055. So, let's just get the obvious out of the way. What comes to mind when thinking about this series is torture porn, and I guess there is some truth in this phrase. This show gets gruesome, this show gets gory, this show goes there. I mean, Rin gets her clothes ripped off so many times that if I were her, I honestly would not waste money on clothing. I would become a nudist. That's how often Rin just gets her clothes torn to shreds during fights. Now, if you're someone who finds themselves turned off by an abundance of nudity, sex, and graphic violence in your show, then honestly, do not watch Rin. In fact, stop watching this review. For those of you who don't mind, I'm here to tell you that all that violence and sex is not without purpose. It's always there for a reason. It's not just unnecessary fan service there to tickle your nether regions. Everything in Rin ties together in an interesting woven story. With a seemingly simple plot of following an immortal in her job as a private investigator, things get pretty complicated when the show decides to dive into the mythology and workings of being an immortal, and everything is cleverly linked together. Let's talk about the mechanics of the show. Animation is pretty standard during most scenes, but usually kicks up to be pretty damn good during the fight and torture scenes. Visually, Rin is nothing out of the ordinary. While some scenes are gorgeous and stunning, more often than not, the show is pretty average looking. The character designs are nice, but nothing different. The show does pretty good and doesn't get too sloppy with animation, but you can definitely see when the animators either get lazy or needed to save a bit of money if you look closely at how the hands are drawn or animated. The sound of the show was not too memorable. In fact, I don't really remember any specific songs that stuck with me at all.
Don't you dare finish that sentence.
Okay.
The voice acting was very good with this series. You have Colleen Clinkenbeard as the voice of Rin, and you may recognize her as her other roles as Luffy from One Piece, Yuko from XXX Holic, and Riza Hawkeye for FMA. Jamie Marchi voiced Mimi, and is known for her role as Liz in Soul Eater and Panty from Pantyne's Stocking. Robert McCullum voices Koki, and even though he may not be as well known as, let's say, Vic Mignogna, I absolutely love his voice in every role he does. Everyone else did a great job, and I really can't think of any complaints I had regarding to voice acting. The characters of the show are another strong point of the anime. While Rin may not be what you'd call a dynamic character, as she pretty much stays the same throughout the series, she is still likable and pretty badass. Supporting characters are really excellent, from Koki and his descendants to the police investigator and other people Rin interacts with during the series. They all leave an impression on you, and the viewer will definitely get a sense of attachment to the character, even with the short amount of screen time a character may get. Overall, Rin is definitely an interesting show. Its animation and sound are not too much to gush about, but its characters and voice acting are fantastic. As far as the plot of the show, while I was engrossed for the first few episodes, the series started to lose me as the plot grew more and more complicated. It became confusing to me, and even though Rin does a good job at tying everything together and making each episode connect in some way, I still found myself confused throughout most of the episodes. Perhaps if I were smarter, or maybe I just didn't pay as close attention as I should have, maybe I would have enjoyed the series more. But with as complicated as Rin gets, at some points this could definitely discourage some viewers from watching the show. I'd give Rin a 7 out of 10. The animation and sound are average, and the story gets really complex and difficult to follow at points. Also, the whole abundance of torture and sex is definitely not something I could recommend to most viewers. In fact, the show is only for a limited audience. That being said, I really did enjoy the series. It was interesting, and I was never bored while watching the show. I would recommend it to those who enjoy anime with horror and supernatural elements, and those who are not afraid of a lot of torture. Thank you for watching this review. Remember, we post new videos every Monday and Thursdays. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and please check out our other reviews. Yes, do that, please. Okay, until next time. I feel like I should have like a phrase, until next time, bye. Okay, that works.